sarcastic sense of humor even back then.
But you know, when you make a movie for $2 million,
$2 million? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it's you have to count your pennies, and you can start blowing a lot of money very quickly by buying one old song.
I'm sure. Now, I would imagine in a modestly budgeted film, obviously you want to get as much for your buck as you can get. I mean, that's the basics of this business. I mean, how did you choose a cinematographer?
Well, I worked with Mike Mayers, who shot this film, on my first feature, Cafe Society. So that was very easy. I called him up and he said, "When do we start?" You know, because we had a great rapport, and that's very important for me. That I like a set that's relaxed and I like getting contributions from everyone. So I need to work with people who are eager to contribute, but not all about trying to control. You know, because it's one of the hardest things you have to balance as a director. You have to get what you want out of it, but you're wasting a lot of other people's talent if you don't reach out to them and say, "Help me here. What do you think? What ideas do you have?" Some of the best ideas don't come from you. You're too tired and busy and frenzied.
Right. Well, let me ask you this: being a writer-director, did it ever cross your mind that perhaps you might be a little too close to the script?
No, it never did. I can't imagine. I can't imagine anyone else directing my scripts. You know, it wouldn't be any fun for me, and it's also a little hard for me to imagine directing someone else's script. To me, the two functions they're natural. You know, I write it, and then of course I had the distance of 7 years until I shot the film.
Tell me an anecdote or something. Can I tell? I'll tell. I don't know. I want. This is.
What do you want? You want a story?
Yeah, give me a story. Huh? I got about two minutes left.
Let's see if I could do the story. 10 years ago, I left Hollywood to raise my son on Martha's Vineyard.
That's where the Kennedys are and all those.
Yeah, well, some of them. Yeah. Then I worked in a store on Martha's Vineyard.
You're kidding?
No, I worked in I was a produce guy.
Oh, okay.
Now, and a lot of people from Hollywood go to the vineyard in the summer, and some of them I knew, and some of them I didn't. So I met this woman in the store. I knew her. Now Gary Marshall comes to the vineyard 4 years later and hires me to rewrite his movies out here. So I'm out here working on one of his movies. I'm at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel at a benefit, and I'm in black tie, and I'm going back to sit down. A woman comes over to me, and she goes, "Don't I know you from the country store on Martha's Vineyard?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I'm out here rewriting a movie for Gary Marshall, and my friend's doing this." "You're rewriting a movie? You sold me bananas." I said, "Well, you know, in this country, it's illegal to rewrite movies and sell bananas."
That's funny.
Okay?
Yeah.
And at that point, Richard Dreyfuss came over to me, all these people I knew, and hugged me, and she's going to her friend, "Bananas." That, to me, is an anecdote.
Do you know, that is a wonderful anecdote. Could you give some advice to some of the people out there that are trying?
Yes, I will give the advice that Harry Crane, the elderly, God rest his soul, but he wrote for the Honeymooners. There are 3 rules of how to get into show business.
Go ahead.
And nobody knows what they are.
What are they?
No one knows.
Improvisation is the best way for an artist to understand how to write.
Is that so?
Yes, to me it is.
Explain.
Because I think when you're improvisationally, you're actually creating without writing, without being a playwright. You're creating humor. You can do that. Working with Larry David on Curb Your Enthusiasm, we're marvelously humorous because there are no restraints except to follow the action, to play your action, which is what we do as improvisationalists. I love doing that show. I love working with Larry. I love working with the people there. It's such an exciting adventure.
Very little of what was in Cooley High was true.
Oh, really?
I'm a writer, man. Come on. Now, if you want to know how I became a good writer,
Yes.
that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I do want to know how you
Okay.
became a good, a hell of a good writer.
All right. The reason I became a good writer, I owe to my mother first. When I was a kid, I stayed in trouble because I did school a lot because I got beat up in school and I didn't want to go, so I would did school and keep from getting beat up. So that would get me in trouble.
Right.
So my mother worked 2 jobs, and when she had to take off from work, it upset her very much. But she'd go to school and they'd tell her about all the horrible things I did, okay? Then she'd take me home and she said, okay, now I've heard their story, let me hear yours. And at that point, I'd lie. Okay, because I know I'm gonna get a beating. So I'd lie.
That's the seed of a hell of a writer.
That's the start of it. So she would listen. And as she listened, she would say, well, what about this? And how about that? And she'd pick out all the holes in my lie. Okay? And when she found the holes, I'd get a beating. So
golly.
I learned to tell a story without any holes.